Hi, this is Pam Kriangkum here. I'm a commercial photographer based out of Edmonton, Alberta, and I am so excited you're here with me for photo classes. So, if you've been here before, this was something I was doing on Instagram, my Instagram stories, but I've decided to move it to this lovely platform, which I'm just recording on Zoom. There's nothing going to be super fancy about this. But that way you can go back, watch the videos, and they don't disappear like they did on Instagram. And how I'm going to be doing photo this time around is doing lots of thematic content. So we'll stick with one theme or one concept for the photo class each week. Each Thursday, these will be released. And yeah, that way you can go back, forward, speed me up 1.5 times if you want to watch the video, get the info you need, so then you can learn what makes for good product photography that you see in advertisements. That's what we're going to be focusing on, is images that other photographers have taken or things that we see in ads, and potentially how you could recreate some of these things yourself at home, and some of it may be a little bit over our heads, but it's still really good to know all the thought and the process it takes to make these photos. So welcome. Today, what we are going to be focusing on is hero images. So hero images are essentially a hero image. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but essentially it's just one product most of the time, or one thing that we're focused on. A lot of the time with the hero images, this product or whatever this thing is in the center of the image, and it's the focus. So it's the hero that we are staring at, the hero of the story, that kind of idea. And a lot of times you'll see these used in really splashy advertisements, or we will also see them on website headers, things like that, when you click onto a website, whether it's e-commerce or otherwise, to the page just to see what it is. I don't know, I stumbled there. Anyways, we're going to move on, and I'm just going to share my screen, and then we'll get to it and do a few different examples. Okay, so here we are. So with these ones here, I'm just pulling these all off of Pinterest. This one is a really interesting one. I find it's really, really simple, but there's a lot of things going on here. So first thing that we can notice is the product is right in the middle, not 100% dead center in this case, but it is in the middle. And because there's such high contrast between the white backdrop and the black product, it really does stand out, therefore creating that hero image effect. Another thing to note is this photo is actually taken at a lower vantage point. So the camera is actually not eye level, if you want to call it that, with the product. It's a little bit lower. So it's giving also this more dominating, powerful feel to the photo. And what I noticed when I was going through different product photography, specifically hero imagery, when it came to skincare products and things like that, a lot of them actually utilize this technique where they bring down the camera a little bit lower and look up at the product. So it creates this larger than life feel. And just for a little bit of interest, they did put it on a looks like a piece of foam board or plastic, or just something like a riser of some sort, which is similar color to the background, but just that little bit of shadow does show you it's like actually sitting on something, versus if it was just like on a seamless backdrop, where it would almost look like it was floating. So a way to recreate this minus the lighting. So the lighting is pretty technical here, so we're not going to be focusing on the lighting and how they did that. But essentially what you can do is, if you wanted something that felt similar to this, with a lot of contrast, if you're photographing a product that's black, white would be a great way to do it. White's always going to be nice because it's always going to be a contrast with a product that you have if it's colored. Another thing that you could do is whatever color your product is, if you're open to having fun and playing with it, because I know we sometimes have to stick within brand colors and things like that, use the opposite color. So if you had a red product, maybe use green, because those are complementary colors, and that way with that flip, it's super, super contrasty. So again, if you're going to do this, what you can do is set up a seamless backdrop of some sort, and then put something like a little riser. I literally would use something like this. I don't know if you can see it. It's like to hold my pens. It's made out of plastic. Just something just to give yourself a little bit of height, putting your product on, having window light, because we will be taking photos with our phone most likely when we're starting out versus a professional camera, and then going ahead and taking the product photo. And that is it for this one. Let's move on to another one. Okay, so this one is also a fun hero image because the first thing that we focus on is the product. And because it is a food product, we're also assuming that these flavors, so these oranges, is going to be within the like notes of this ginger beer. And what also is really nice is, though it is on a white backdrop, the orange of like the label and the oranges themselves contrast, or not, sorry, they complement each other really, really nice. So it kind of is almost seamless, right? There's only two colors we're really focusing on here, orange and white, a little bit of green, but mostly the orange and white. And your eyes are immediately drawn to the center, which a good hero image would do is your eyes would be drawn straight to the product. And right away with this product, it gives you the kind of feel, um, that this company has like a fun, fresh, bright, colorful vibe to the product. So to recreate something like this is if you had a product, let's say like a ginger beer like this, or even a candle or things like that, that have flavors, tastes, and notes, what you can do is like, again, with a white backdrop, do a flat lay, put those tasty notes. So let's say you had a coffee scented candle, you can put all the coffee grounds on the backdrop, on a white backdrop, and then put the candle on top of them and take a photo there, because then people just immediately like, oh, it's a candle, there's coffee, it must be a coffee scented candle. Just like here with the ginger beer, we're just like, oh, it must be an orange flavored, scented, whatever product. So typically for photo class, I do about 3 or 4 different examples because I want to keep these short, and also because I can talk for a while and I want to make these super concise, easy to understand, so you can get all the info and get out. So I'm going to do 3 more examples, and maybe another day we'll come back to these because there's so many things I can break down for you here. Let's go to this clothing. So clothing is an interesting one when it comes to doing hero images, product, flat lays, things like that, because a lot of the time with clothing, people want to see it on a person because that's how they make the decision of how to buy, or sorry, if they should buy it, because they're looking at how the clothing is laying on the person and how it's draping and things like that. So I find with clothing, it can be a bit tricky to do product photography of it. But this is a really interesting way of doing it. It kind of goes with the urban theme of this like shirt. So the background with like the blue sky, we have a bit of concrete, and then the jacket, which does look a little bit more industrial, so it fits there, and it looks like it's on a slack line. So this is not technically in the dead center, but it is in the middle of the photo. And one thing that's really nice about this line that the coat is hanging on is that actually creates a diagonal, which creates some tension. So what your eye is doing is moving from the left side of the image to the right, and then so when it's moving, your eye is moving through the image, it's then looking at the coat, noticing it because it does stand out quite a bit from the background, and being like, okay, so the focus here is the jacket. So someone who really connects with maybe like an urban aesthetic or feel, things like that, something a little bit more industrial might see this, notice the background, not so much on a like on a conscious level, but more of a subconscious level, and they might be more inclined to buy a jacket like this because it does give some context as to where you would wear it, versus if this was the same thing on a white seamless backdrop where there was no location to give you any ideas who and where you would wear a product like this. And again, one more thing, this is also taken from that lower angle, facing like from down below, facing up towards the product. So again, just like how that first example we had, it's going to exude a different kind of power, feeling, things like that. So just something to keep in mind when you're playing with angles for taking your photo. Okay, let's do just one more for today and just make it really quick and simple, and maybe we can come back to these other ones another day. So I really like this photo because it is really clean, simple, and a lot of my work follows these lines where it's just like as minimal as possible, but creating some interest still. So here, compared to the other one, we don't have as much contrast as the other photo. There's still lots of contrast because the first thing that we see is the product, and that's what we look at. But with the other one, where it's the white on black, it creates a very clean feel, where this with the brown creates more of a grounding feel, I find. And one of the reasons I really like the fabric here is it does 2 things. It adds a natural amount of texture without like having to add a lot more. So we have a little bit of texture, we have light and shadows, which does add some interest to the photo. But another thing that it does is it actually creates a certain mood and feel, because it does look like a very luxe, like satiny or velvety kind of material. So when we put a product like that on this, it's gonna change how the image feels, right? If we had, let's say, a concrete background versus this background, like that gray concrete versus this like brown luxurious fabric, you have two different images that comes to mind, and someone who's maybe looking for something that is restoring and calming, like the packaging says, may gravitate to a product photo that looks more like this and more inclined to buy or interact with it. Because it's exuding that feel and that vibe. So just something to think about. And with this setup, this is, I can tell this is a strobe. So they did use like a professional light to do this, but it's not to say that you couldn't do this exact same thing with a window. So what you could do, like, so just like how I have in the back of my setup here, we have a window to my right and then the wall, and there's nothing to say you couldn't take a piece of fabric, just like this one, drape it, like attach it to the wall, drape it down, put a product there, get like that nice movement and feeling. And because again, super easy, this product is dead center in the middle. What they've done in this photo is they've taken something, like a styrofoam or a block of something like that, put it underneath the fabric just to elevate the product a little bit more, so then it's not getting lost in the draping. Because if you notice, there's no draping that's, covering the product in any way, but there is like that nice texture and movement down below. So that is going to be our quick and dirty first photo class. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of this format. I'm really excited to be trying something new, and just sharing all I have that I can give you when it comes to taking better product photos, whether it is with a professional camera or if it's just your phone. And you'll see a lot of stuff that I'm going to be putting out is going to be stuff with my phone, because I know if you are a small business owner or a creative who's just starting out, you don't have access to all the fancy things that I now have access to. So let's keep it simple, keep it real, and we'll just keep learning week by week. So I hope you've enjoyed photo class. I will be here next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.